Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the weekly comic book roundup. We've covered most of it. In fact, this is the end of this week's roundup. Finally, it's been a long one. Anyway, all we got left for this week is this week's Batman books. So we'll kick things off with Batman: Fear State Omega. So, this is more of an epilogue to Fear State than the finale. Over the course of Fear State, Scarecrow tried to enact a theory he had on Gotham. Basically, if you can force a society to evolve through fear. And he was manipulating, it turns out he had been manipulating events ever since shortly after A-Day to basically set things just right so that his plan could work. It did help that you'd already had the Joker War just recently as well, so there was enough stuff going on that it made there was a lot of fear in Gotham. He was being funded by tech billionaire Simon Saint. Everyone got involved in various parts. Saint had was manipulating things to basically bring in a militarized police force that was designed for costume threats. The Magistrate, with its peacekeepers. And the first Peacekeeper 01, was a former Arkham guard by the name of Sean Mahoney. Yeah, he got seriously dosed with fear toxin. And, But various other groups were involved, including a group called the Insanity Collective. The entirety of the Bat family was involved. And not having a Batgirl kissed. Anyway, finally. Anyway, so, as I said, it's more of an epilogue. Starts off, it's a month later, and Scarecrow's been being held at GCPD headquarters. He's being transferred to Arkham Tower. During everything, the transport is hijacked by Batman. Batman puts Crane in the Batmobile and lets him wear his mask. And it's kind of the framing device. So Miracle Molly, who's one of the leaders of the Insanity Collective, she made a deal where first off she testified about how Simon Saint manipulated the Insanity Collective to attack some of the attacks on media, and it's to manipulate the public to create a demand for the Magistrate. In exchange for testifying against Saint, the DA dropped charges on the other leaders of the Insanity Collective, provided that Miracle Molly does the time for their robberies. She's currently in Blackgate. The rest of the Insanity Collective is off the grid. Batman really doesn't see a problem with them, with not knowing where they're at, because he sees them. He doesn't see them as a threat. They're people looking for a second chance and deserve the time and space to build themselves one. So, yeah. Wayne Enterprises is working on salvaging the Magistrate skyship. Simon Saint has been removed from the board of Saint Industries, which is shuttering the Magistrate brand, and basically all the tech involved is being auctioned off the highest bidder, most likely the military. And we see presentation being given by members of Sane Industries. One of those in attendance is a rather familiar face, Amanda Waller. Because of course, something like magistrate tech is right up her alley. Let's see. But Crane tries to manipulate Batman, and every time it seems like it might work, it doesn't. Peacekeeper 01 has escaped custody and seemingly also the city. But Crane believes that, clearly everyone's life has just gotten worse with all the stuff that Batman just told him. However, this is not the case. Harley and Ivy are happy together in Eden. Catwoman goes to check on them. Asks the gardener, tell them I stopped by. If they're going to leave Gotham, tell them to swing by Alley Town. And the gardener plans to leave Gotham. She's had enough of capes and costumes. But Ivy wakes up after Selina leaves. She's not happy with the fact that while Gardner did basically save her, it was still done in a manner that Ivy didn't consent to. So, but she tells Gardner that that she's going to make her own decisions on what she will become without Gardner. Clown Hunter gets recruited to be Ghost Hunter's sidekick, or Ghostmaker's sidekick. He also kind of maintains that, the Bat Family's way of doing things is outmoded, and, he's not going to join the Bat Family. But, like I said, Ghostmaker, says, hey, you can be my sidekick. She tries to use a sword instead of a bat, and the only thing is you can't kill anybody. But you still get to hurt them real bad. And Clown Hunter decides that he'll go with it. But of course, Crane continues to try and manipulate Batman, but he makes it. They make it there, and manipulation doesn't work. He basically, people can change, and Gotham will change with her. He is not something he can stop, so he just let it happen. But Crane is delivered to Arkham Tower, and the tender care of Dr. Chase Meridian. But as Batman leaves, he reflects that perhaps the Arkham name should be retired, though, due to the connotations it does carry within Gotham. And that is where the issue ends. Nice little epilogue. It sets up a few things, like for example, the idea of Ghostmaker becoming Clown Hunter's mentor. It kind of fits, even if there is that whole thing of, Clown Hunter kind of sort of tried to kill Ghostmaker tried to kill Clown Hunter in his first appearance, so there is that. But yeah, good wrap up. Sadly, it does kind of confirm something I said earlier about Miracle Molly, that as Tinian is leaving Batman, we are probably never going to see her again unless he decides to come back to her. And though conveniently, with her doing time and an unspecified amount, well, You say, hey, that's what. No more. She's in jail. She's being, she's doing the. She's in jail and she's not trying to get out or nothing because she's not a villain. She's just trying to help people, and she's probably just trying to help people in prison. That's all. So yeah, kind of sad that we'll, like I said, probably never see her again. But anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got the Batman 2021 Annual. So, back before Fear State, there was a Ghostmaker backup story that was running in Batman. Ghostmaker had traveled to Devil Skull Island to take down 5 of his fiercest rogues. Kid Kawaii, Razorline, Brainstorm, what was not Croc's name? The Instigator and their benefactor, Madame Midas. We also get some looks at Ghostmaker's origin. Born in Singapore. His parents his father ran an export company, and they were concerned about, and his parents were concerned about their son and his scarier tactics. But apparently, there was business to be done with a criminal group, and yeah. But that's kind of the framing device of the whole story. Turns out to be Batman and Ghostmaker dealing with Firefly in Gotham. So he gets back to the story. He's had rubble dropped on him. He's fought gold-plated laser shooting tigers. Yeah, so injured a bunch of guards. Then he dealt with Kid Kawaii and Razorline. Both having a degree being somewhat tech-based, but with very different aptitudes and whatnot. So Ghostmaker did the smart thing and utilized the Icon system in his suit to take over Kid Kawaii's programming, and then under Icon's control, Kid Kawaii took down Razorline, and Razorline took down Kid Kawaii. When it came to Brainstorm, avoided telekinetically thrown objects and dropped chunks of the building on him. In fact, dropped a large portion of the building on him. Next is, of course, Madame Midas and Instigator. So he does what he can against Instigator, kind of lulls him into a bit of sense of security, but he does end up cutting Instigator's femoral artery. Basically, you can chase me and bleed out, or you can live. Instigator chose living. So it became him and Madame Midas. Turns out, evidence was delivered to various law enforcement agencies about her trafficking ring hours before he showed up. So by this point, all she has left is the rubble of Devil Skull Island. But Batman deduces that there's a reason that Ghostmaker thinks of this as his greatest case. There has to be a personal reason for it. Turns out that the crime syndicate that attacked his family. Basically bought out his family. Well, it was the Midas crime syndicate, run by Batman Midas's father. And she tells the younger version of her tells the younger version of him that tells the young Ghostmaker he will never change the world. And he leaves. He ran away from home, trained, and as he's winning the fight, Ghostmaker tells her that her empire will crumble, and history won't know her name. That she is small and insignificant, and he can assure her that she will never change the world. But he doesn't reveal this part of things to Batman. But the issue ends with Ghostmaker challenging Batman to a race. Fun issue. Nice wrap up to that. I feel like a lot of these backups, especially the ones that are being resolved in annuals, I feel like a lot of them probably just could have been their own miniseries. Like the Ghostmaker backups from Batman, that could have been a Ghostmaker miniseries with the framing device of them. Now that said, of course. Well, no, because by the time that it made sense. But yeah, anyway, it was still a good story. It was entertaining. My biggest problem is just how it was, done, how the story was done. And I love that that Ghostmaker has his own off the wall rogues. Moving on to our next book, we've got the Detective Comics 2021 annual. This kind of kicks off one of the big Batman stories for this coming year, Shadows of the Bat. But we open up with a flashback to Bruce's childhood, before the death of his parents. But they got some ice cream together, and they were leaving. They went to a diner, he got some ice cream, and they were leaving. One man jumped out a window, having been shot, and nearly killed Thomas and Martha. But he was injured, and Thomas Wayne, being a doctor, went to try and save him, and managed to do so. With Batman saying, yes, men did try to kill the Waynes, but he's a doctor. He doesn't just he saves the victim in front of him, regardless of who they are. Fox Tech is working on Arkham Tower, is handling part of the Arkham Tower stuff, and basically, he explains it's not going to be an easy sell on Arkham Tower, because a lot of the general public opinion is mostly not rehabilitation, but punishment. Especially considering all the terrible things that the people who go to Arkham have put Gotham City through. I'm not saying it's right to have that one, but it's I'm not saying it's an opinion it's right to have, but it's understandable. But Batman and Nightwing have been investigating the Meager Man. He seems to be rather similar to the criminal that Thomas Wayne saved after being after almost being killed by him. There are chicken bones over the scene, so they're basically tracking down leads, being detectives. When the Meager Man attacks a jogger, but Batman and Nightwing stop the attack, but there's another flashback. Dr. Wayne takes Thomas to see, to the or Dr. Wayne takes Bruce to the hospital, but he's been told that he won't be allowed in to see Peter Faust. Meanwhile, Bruce meets Peter's son, who is the new Meteor Man. But the new Meteor Man is turned over to the GCPD, and that the same sentiment of they don't the only help they need is at the end of a nightstick or a fist or a kick in or a few kicks in the ribs. It's something that the GCPD says about a lot of the costume criminals. But the police car blows up, or is damaged, not blown up, but the two officers are injured, not dead. Ooh. And it seems that Meteor Man was dragged away. He comes to, and it turns out that the place he's in, he's been taken in by Gotham's lost sons and daughters, the ones who fell through the cracks. As long as he doesn't mean them any harm, he's welcome to stay as long as he wants. It's an abandoned. It was supposed to be a center for at-risk youth, but after former Mayor Hill won his re-election, the project mysteriously lost all its public funding. But so Meteor Man's look incorporates a pair of wings that are made of bone, chicken bone. So they managed to track down, get a lead on where to find him. Eventually they do, and he's been putting together his wings, and he jumps out a window with them. But they're not real wings, so he falls. But Nightwing's able to save him. At the hospital, he's in an argument with some of the cops about trying to rehabilitate him and not just toss him into a hole. But one of the doctors at the hospital pulls him aside and says she agrees with him, and she'll be working at Arkham Tower when it opens. Her name is Chase Meridian, and Bruce Wayne did pull some strings to make sure to get her into Arkham Tower. But it turns out that Bruce has adopted a similar outlook on dealing with people with criminals in Gotham. He doesn't like that Arkham Tower is named Arkham Tower, but aside from that, hopefully it will end up doing good. I mean, it's Gotham, so it won't. But hey, what are you gonna do, right? Really good, really good story. I mean, I'm a little biased, focusing on Nightwing, with it having such a large focus on Nightwing, but yeah, really neat story. Next up, we've got the Nightwing 2021 annual. So this one focuses on Nightwing, almost solely, but also Red Hood. It's not there's a Red Hood backup story, but man gets into a car. He seems to be part of local organized crime. He's got armed bodyguards who are adequately or well paid, and suddenly they're attacked, seemingly by the Red Hood, who's shooting at them, killing the guards and going after their passenger. He even takes off his mask in front of video. So, but Nightwing decides he's gonna, he since Oracle's manages has tracked or knows where Jason is by using it going after his tracer. Nightwing's gonna have a talk with him. We had a flashback to when Dick and Jason first met. But Jason explains that he's recently been benched, and a problem that he has is that the standards he's kept to are so high. And Nightwing says, "Yeah." Well, and Dick says, "Well, yeah, Bruce does it. It's pretty bad at high standards." Like, no, not Bruce's standards, your standards. He always if I don't do something well, if it's the old Robin would have done this instead, or that is, yeah. So, but they decide to go fight crime together as Nightwing and Robin, borrowing the car, and well, no one's got a problem with it. So they get in the Batmobile and help people, and Nightwing does impart some wisdom of being a past Robin onto Jason. That for example, Robin kind of has to talk. One thing to keep villains off their toes, but also to help victims too. Excuse me. But there is a point where Dick does have to stop Jason from going a little too far. And on the way back to the manor, Dick asks him about this. Adults hurt you when you were a kid. And Jason says, yes. And so he wants to punish people. Well, yes, he wants to. But he kind of gets the speech of, hey, yeah, you're angry, I get that, but giving in your anger is not going to help anybody. And, kind of from that point forward, as far as Dick's concerned, they're brothers. Which was a part of Alfred's plan in getting Dick to come over. So, in the present, Dick tracks down Jason. Jason says he didn't do it. And Dick believes him, but he just to be sure, he has Jason take his shirt off because Red Hood was apparently shot in the attack. There's no bruise to indicate a recent gunshot wound. A recent bullet-resistant vest protected gunshot wound. So at the scene of the crime, they're trying to find the bullet that was used on Nightwing, or on Red Hood, so they can analyze it. They sneak back into the remains of Wayne Manor, use the old cave, and the bullet is analyzed, and something interesting is found on it. Clay. So Jason takes Mr. Freeze's old freeze guns. They go out, borrow a Batmobile, and go after Clayface, who is Clayface masquerading as Jason. He also briefly does so as Batman, and but he's taken down, and he's given a name as to who hired him. Wolfgang Bilsma. Apparently, Wolfgang Bilsma turns out is the dealer that sold Jason's mother the heroin she OD'd on. So they go after Bilsma. They manage to keep him from lifting off at the Gotham airport, but when Bilsma tells his pilot to, hell with it, just go, well, there's something on the runway. The Batmobile, which slams into the plane and causes it to be unable to lift off. Bilsma steps out, but he gets taken down by Dick and Jason. Jason does go a little harder on him, but he is stopped. But at least, hey, there are probably plenty of people in Gotham City prisons who remember what you did, so have fun. But Bill Smith gets taken into custody, and Dick and Jason trying to figure out, okay, well, we can't really hide the fact of the damage to the car, but... And again, brothers keep each other's secrets. And that is where the issue ends. It's really touching. I like how it gives more on the current origin of Red Hood. And I kind of like the retcon of how Dick and Jason first met. So, good issue. Nightwing's been consistently good. So, yeah. Next up, we have the Gotham City Villains Anniversary Giant. Now, to be fair, I really mainly just skimmed most of the stories, but there was one that I felt I needed to really somewhat closely read. That is the first story, Bird Cat Love, featuring the Penguin. Written by this new writer. He seems like he's got some talent, a guy named Danny DeVito, maybe? I don't know. Well, hey, good, best of luck to him on in comics, And hey, props on him getting such a high-profile first gig, right? Right? Yeah, Danny DeVito writing a Penguin story. Basically, him and Catwoman coming together as lovers to steal from the rich and give to the poor, help the world. That's literally what it is. They force vaccinate the world. Yeah, they rescue animals, raise their raise their colored children, and seem to live happily ever after. We have a Scarecrow story. We got ourselves a Scarecrow story. The Fearless Man by Wes Craig. We've got ourselves a Poison Ivy story. I can't even read that. By G. Will Wilson and Emma Rios. But it does deal with, Ivy having to deal with with what's becoming of the world. And she infiltrates a plant a plant that's polluting Gotham to take it down from the inside, which she does, largely non-lethally. Except, there is the explosion, which is lethal, but by and large, it's a non-lethal assault. We have a Red Hood story. For the Sky is Red. But, the Red Hood has been captured by the Red Hood gang. Things ain't working out. So, they talk about how the whole thing began, and... No. But yeah, the rest of the gang says the leader's out. So, he's taken down. He is taken out. But one of the criminals is looking at the hood later, like, yeah, maybe this could be useful. Kind of continuing the cycle of the Red Hood. Which gives us our Mad Hatter story, The Perfect Fit. Mainly dealing with Damian Wayne Robin going after Mad Hatter. However, it does seem like this is more of a prologue to what's happening with Mad Hatter in the pages of Order of the World. Next up, we have a Killer Moth story where he talks about after some screw ups, he realized he was never going to be one of the big ones, but he found a better thing to do. When, say, an armored car gets attacked in broad day, gets attacked, and bills are flying everywhere, well, Killer Moth swoops in and saves the money. It's kind of, he knows he's not going to be one of the big names now. He's always been a parasite, and he's a really good parasite. So he realized that Batman can be a meal ticket, like I said, dealing with things like cash blowing in the wind, which he uses to live in a fairly nice apartment with a cat and play video games. Then we've got Ra's al Ghul featuring in Demon's Game. 6 years earlier. He's playing chess with Batman, and we got a years later bit where Batman is taking on the League, but it kind of goes back and forth between the two. Ra's and Batman, playing chess in the past and sword fighting in the present. But he's given a bit of information, and apparently he has he's left a chess move which he enacts on the board he has set up for himself, and kind of a running thing between him and Ra's. Our final story focuses on Talia al Ghul. At the Leviathan headquarters in Nepal, she's having to deal with various bits of news, like Deathstroke joining Trust, what the Totality needs, what Damien's up to. Ra's has been found. The Leo Shadow is doing something, but yeah. She reflects on her past with being raised by Ra's and one of her earliest kills, but as well as her training. And eventually she was told about her mother by Ra's, to a degree, but we kind of see her evolving, first as Ra's young daughter, then to one who loves Batman, and then Damien's mother. And she goes to address the Leviathan Council, and to be fair, it's quite simply says that Talia's adventures continue in the pages of Batman, Robin, and Deathstroke Incorporated. And it hypes up an upcoming storyline for next year called Shadow War, presumably having to do with happening at least in Deathstroke Inc. And that is where the issue ends. It's a fun little read, The Catwoman Robin Penguin story was actually kind of adorable. Anyway, moving on to our last book for the week, we've got Batman the Detective, number 6. Where we left off, Batman and his allies realized that Equilibrium's next target was the city of London, which Batman saved. But it turns out that Equilibrium broke out the members of her gang from prison, or one of them at least, that was captured. Get some intel on potential weapons that will be used. Descartes is sent to track down Equilibrium. Batman recruits Knight, as he's already working with Squire, and realizes he knows who Squire is. And, in tracking down Leviathan, Ducard's been injured badly. I'm pretty sure he's a goner. But Batman's able to save him again. They take on Equilibrium. But the attack begins. Apparently, it's a massive drone strike on the city. But Batman explains that, yeah, the drones were reprogrammed, and then he reprogrammed them again. And he brought in some friends, Oracle and Nightwing, who take control of the drones, and Equilibrium first picks up a gun, turns it on Batman, but then opts to turn the gun on herself. However, as she's firing, Batman stops the bullet and punches her out. But Batman's worried maybe there's some striking similarities between him and Equilibrium he doesn't want to admit, but Ducard says that's not the case. She's a different type of crazy. And when all is said and done, it turns out that part of Squire's origin, this Squire's origin at least, is that her mother was a smuggler who was busted early on by the new current knight when she was Squire. But Squire never got to see her mother. So the issue ends with her getting to see her mother outside of prison. Which is it for not just this issue, but also the series. It was an okay series. It's an interesting future take on Batman. I like Batman's look throughout the series, so, not bad. Not great, but not bad. But anyway, that will do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.